Hello everyone, my name is Ben Baum and I'm going to give you a tutorial flight for the Boeing 737-800. Specifically it's the PMDG NGXu version of the Boeing 737-800 in P3D. A little bit of background before I start. I am not a pilot, I am actually a ground crewman for down at Ballina Airport at the moment, so I'm technically a loader driver. It's my job at the moment, but we do everything. But enough said about that. Just to clarify that to begin with, that I'm not a pilot, and I'm just giving a few of my mates who are a little bit newer than this, because I know the 737 like the back of my hand. Right, so let's just start doing everything. First, I'm going to go into GSX. I'm just going to request catering service first, and I'll request boarding first, because it's just the easiest thing to get out of the way first. Because if you can do that, then you can get the plane out quick. And with this, I just don't really care. I just want to get the plane gone. So, we've done everything we need to do so it all flows. First thing I do when I start is go up to the overhead panel and you just start from left to right. Well, you start from the important things and then you start from left to right. Battery's always the first thing you hit, because without that you won't be able to set the ground power. So you set the ground power, then you set the battery. Can't set the yaw damper unless you've done the hydraulics. Once you've done the hydraulics, then you can chuck the yaw damper. If the hydraulics aren't fully set, the yaw damper will just come straight back up. Like that. I'll set the window heat and the probe heat. I'll set the fuel. Try the yaw damper again. The yaw damper now goes off, centers pressure. There's the exit lights. I'll set the cabin chime. I'll set that to both. For the logo, wing and wheel well go on now. Now, this is probably the most important thing out of everything, because without doing this properly, your engines will not start. So you leave one pack off, you have the other pack to high, and you leave the isolation valve open. Without that, the duct pressure will not get to the 30 psi it needs to start the engines. Right, with that done, it's telling me to open the doors, so we'll open the doors. That's to get the caterers on board, because they're already here. Right. While I do that, I will go into SimBrief, and I will. This is a great tool. This, you'll go in and you'll do PMDG, and you'll go to FSX. You export that, and that's job done. Then you can get rid of that. While I say that, we can go and have a look at the flight plan itself. Bring the flight plan over. So we're Qantas flight 517, Boeing 737-800 from Brisbane to Sydney, flight level 36,000 feet, airtime 1 hour 19 minutes, 7 tonne of fuel, and all that. Hugo 6 and golden. And we're on the Bori 2 Alpha arrival for it'll be a 1-6 arrival, even if the winds at the moment are saying a 34, because one of my mates is trying to push in on the 1-6s, and yeah, just the easiest way to learn is just do the straight in approach, because it's quite an easy approach actually. So with that, we'll keep opening doors. It'll be done soon, everything will be done, so we're going 36,000 today. Heading, now this is where you go on a Navigraph and you just go and get the charts for the airport. So we're going off for 01 right, so you want the heading for 01 right, which is 16, 016. There you go, 016. Set that to 5, set that to its minimum setting, put on the VLRs on both sides, set that to skip axles because we're in Australia, Set terrain and traffic, and weather radar and traffic. You can do it this one whatever way you want, but this is the way I do it. Flight directors are also on at this point. Next, yes, the catering's done, so I'll do that. Shut the doors, and we can open the cargo doors. And I can go in here. Position in it, last position, done. Then we go into the route, we can go request route, we can go NGX, we can go, and then we're looking for YBBN-YSSY, select. But while we do this, we've got to remember that we need to do a couple of other things while we're doing it. So we need to do fuel, which is 7.1. So off the flight plan, it's 7.1. Set that. Payload is, well, payload's 0 fuel weight, so 59.8. Zero fuel. Done. And then we're going to go into ACARS. We need to do the ACARS pre-flight, which is YBBN to YSSY, and it's departing at 23:10. Estimated time en route is 1 hour and 19 minutes. QF and QFA 517 is the ATC ID, and then we hit connect. So it can connect to that, and we'll leave that on that page. Then we'll come back to the route, and we will go load. We'll load the route in. While that's doing that, I'm going to quickly come down here. So with this, you always set this to Unicom. So set this to 122.8, and you just do that by turn the knobs. I know the aircraft different, but you always hit it and then hit that button to set it. Whether turbulence, hit a bit of gain, and then your squawk, always set it to 2000 if you're not online or you don't have any ATC. Right, and then set the other one to 10 or 20 nautical miles depending on how far you wanted to take it. So before you hit activate, you do your departure, which is 01 right, and the Hugo 6. Then you hit activate, execute, performance initial, hit 0 fuel weight, double click that, it'll set the 0 fuel weight. Reserves, we'll just do a 4 ton. On your flight plan, it'll say right at the top your cost index, which today is 42, and we are at 36,000 feet, which is set there. Execute. Now, you don't need to put a cell temp in, you can hit whichever D rate you want to hit. So I've gone a D rate of takeoff 1, then just go flaps, whatever flap settings you want to hit. You can do 1, you can do 2, you can do 5, you can do whatever. Then you hit your CFG, which gives you a trim, and then you just go bang, bang, bang. With the, it'll give you reference speeds, and you just chuck in the reference speeds, and that's really all you've got to do. Baggage is getting loaded. The passenger loading is done, so I'll close that door. I thought I set the jet bridge, but I didn't. And then pretty much that's it. Then we're pretty much ready to go. So now I'll go into my checklist and I'll just check and everything's set. Everything for the pre-flight is set, which includes yaw damper, emergency exit lights, window heat, pressurization mode, flight instruments, which is set, and then parking. Then you do your before flight, which is a flight deck door, which you can't do here, but then you've got fuel, which is 7.1, which is, yep, it's checked. Passenger signs are on, windows are locked, MCP is your V2 on here, which I haven't set, which is 149. Your heading, which is 016, runway heading, and 36,000 feet, which is the altitude because we're not on line. We can go straight to the cruise. Takeoff speeds are 139, 140, 149. Rudder aileron trimmer 3 and 0, you don't really ever have to do that. Turn them off. Yes, I do want to request pushback. And close them. While you do this, you hit that onto ground services so you can get rid of the chocks, and then you turn your APU on. And that start up getting ready for pushback. And then taxi takeoff briefing, well, that you just go into your charts app and you bring it up to your taxi airport briefing. Oh no, sorry, airport info. And then we're here.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Yep, we're here. And we'll push back and we'll go. And we'll probably end up going down to like Charlie 2 and then onto Bravo. And then Bravo 9, Alpha 9, and then onto the runway. Something like that.
Locking gear.
It's probably what we'll end up doing. So that's the taxi takeoff briefing done, and then the anti-collision lights are the last thing you do. But we're just waiting for the APU to start up. Once the APU starts up, we can now set everything. We're just going to go nose to the left today. I just got to set up Q Tracker, which is this little bit of software, which does it for Q Virtual. So we're going 36,000 feet, and we are setting up the routing, which is Hugo's, which is just copy and paste there, and we can actually start that now because we're very close to pushback. Hit master caution, waiting for the APUs are now on the buses, so you can hit that. We've just set the parking brake. We've removed that. Then you would set the second one to FMC and then
departure
legs.
check completed. Bypass pin inserted. Release parking brakes.
Then you'd release the parking brake.
Commencing push. All engines clear.
The
Started wheel.
collision, and then hit that clock, and then we're on our way. While you do that, you start your number 2 engine. Now usually you wait for the N2 to hit 20% before you chuck the fuel in, but you can hit it at any point. And that will start the engine. And off we go. Now the pushback here is not very good, so it doesn't really start it very well, and it's not going to be that great. As you can see, it's not going to be that great FPS wise because it's a shockingly optimized scenery.
Set parking brakes.
See, it only pushes you back.
Waiting your confirmation for good engine start.
Confirm good engine start, and that's job done there. Good. And now we do the same for the left engine, and then you just go bang bang. I'll set the auto brake to RTO, and I'll set flaps to 5, which is 1, 2, and 3 down the flaps.
Unlocking gear. Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
Before taxi checklist, pretty much all we're worried about is just the flight controls now, which we can do once we get clearance from the engineer that the aircraft is safe.
Left is
Second
clear.
engine
Right
started,
is clear.
so that's fine. He'll give us a wave, we'll give him a wave back, give him a thumbs up. Then he'll run away. And then we'll do our flight control checks, which means you go into system, you go full up, full down, full left, and full to the right, and then kick the rudder one way, left and then to the right. And then you can hit system to get rid of it. Right, so that's gone. Next. You don't want that on heading select, you can hit that on L and V now. And that should get rid of the heading select for that. Next thing you've got to do. So, before taxi checklist is now done, because you've done your flight control checks. Now you hit taxi light. Oh, you don't do that. Here's one common misconception. You take your gen buses first. Hit your gen buses and then you take the APU out. And also while you're here, you do your packs. So you set that to auto, you set that to auto, and you set that to auto. So you set both your packs to auto, So you got one off, one high. You set them back to auto. Then you got your isolation valve, which is open. The one in the middle, you set that back to auto as well. Then before you taxi, you turn your transponder on. CARA, you've turned your taxi light on, which we've done, and then you set enough power that you can chuck a boot full of left turn input into it. Also, you check your pressure, so you taxi out with your pressure. Actually, you know what? We'll taxi out this way. And the pressure today is 1014, which is quite easy, just to notch up slightly. Now we're taxiing out. I'll set it to flex 5. Now your job is just pretty much monitoring everything. As I said, you've also got a HUD in the 7.3. I don't like it, so I don't use it. But it's there to use. It's there to use. But as I said, this is a very old scenery, and once the new runway gets added to the sim, officially opens up in Brisbane, this scenery is going to be unusable. It's going to be that far out of date that you can't actually use it anymore, seeing that that Brisbane now has 2 runways. The taxiing model I hate in this aircraft. I'm not the first one to say it. PMD say it's realistic, I say total and utter BS to that. It's not a great aircraft to taxi around with at all, but it is what it is. And now we're taxiing out. Pretty much all you're doing now, like, one thing I haven't done though is the trim, which is 4.37. Just about there. Because it usually defaults itself on 4 units. You just go 4.37, and that's it. That's all you need to do. This is a very quick tutorial. I'm running through everything very, very quickly. Mostly because one, I'd already done a slow one, and then I went up to end of taxiway Bravo, and something's happened to the sim lately, and it's reset all my settings, so it had crashed. It detected, and I hit something up there. I don't know what I hit, and it said crashed. I was like, you absolute. And yeah, so that's it. So this is a quick and fast tutorial. The takeoff, it's pretty much just setting everything for takeoff. It can be a little bit tricky, but it's not very hard. It's a very basic checklist of what you've got to do. The more in-depth I'll go is for your approach and arrival, to get that really good approach. That's what I'm seeing a lot of my mates have struggled with, is getting that perfect approach. And that's setting yourself up for the localizer and then hitting the localizer. So that's what I'm going to go more into depth with rather than the departure. The departure, there's other people who do that more in depth than what I will. And also I want to keep this video somewhat short, so it uploads to YouTube in less than 6 years. So now we're doing the long taxi down to runway 01 right. There's the international terminal off to my right. Well, I don't know what sort of terminal. I've been to the domestic terminal, Qantas domestic, a few times. Probably 2 or 3 times now. I've never done international, but I'm planning on doing it in October if the coronavirus doesn't take us out. And that's my mention of the coronavirus, so we're going to get demonetised, but I don't really care. I don't do it for the money. But let me just check the altimeter. I don't think it's right. Yeah, okay, so it's changed. 1015 now. There we go, that's better. So yeah, so I'll be going out on Emirates via the national terminal later on in the year. So, it's a very long, as I said, it's a very long taxi all the way up to the end of the runway. Then we'll do a UE and we'll go. As I said, your optimum taxi speed is about 19-20 knots. And your turning speed while taxiing is about maybe 9 knots. 9 or 10 knots. Now I'm up to about 21, 22 knots, so I'll slow back down a little bit, but we can taxi at this speed without any sort of problems. As long as it just doesn't go above this speed. Now it starts to get a little bit leery. Then you start to pretty much get Americanized, where everything's a little bit leery anyway. Just about to turn onto the runway though. We're reaching the end of the runway where we'll turn and we'll shoot off runway 01 right, and you see the Gateway Bridge in the background. Driving over it, very scary bridge. All I'm going to say. Great bridge, but it can be a bit spooky if you're driving over it. So we'll turn and then we'll blast off into this beautiful, maybe not, Brisbane. Well, it's meant to be a Brisbane morning. It's 6:50 at night in Brisbane when I'm recording this, real time, but it's like 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning when I'm doing the flight. So before takeoff checklist, all that there is flaps, just 5, and trim, which is set to 4.37. Then you just go landing lights, take the taxi light out, and then turn your strobes to position strobe and steady. And then, because we've got no other traffic, we can taxi straight onto 01. Now the 737 is an aircraft where you don't have to set the, actually, well, it encourages you not to set the speed brakes. If you're going to do the speed brakes, if you're going to need to abort the approach, you need to do the speed brakes manually. Yeah. It doesn't say anywhere in the checklist to arm the speed brakes before departure. On any Boeing aircraft for that matter. Airbus, yes, but this you've got to do it manually if you do need to abort the approach. So we're all set. Flaps 5. All good. Now we'll hit the chrono. We'll set the power to about 40. Then I'll find where the click spot is. There is a click spot for this where it goes a toga. And then we're on our way. And that's a little bit of kick the rudder. Our airspeed's alive. Our thrust is set. 80 knots. Speed did a little bit of a dive there.
V1.
Rotate. And then we'll hit rotate and we'll lift. Positive rate, gear up, and then you'll go positive rate, gear up. I'll have to take that call later. 1,000 feet. So it's the LNAV VNAV speed checked, and then you can do this. You can either set autopilot here, or you can play around with it a little bit, just for continuity. I'll do the first turn, and then I'll set the autopilot. You can do it whenever you want, but you set the autopilot. Now, I'll show you when to set the flaps up. This is one thing that does trick a few of the guys out. Now we'll turn the aircraft, and we'll set autopilot. There we go. And we'll set it back to V-nav. Now the autopilot has control. So, you see the numbers. I'll just point them with the cursor. You got 1, and then up. That's your flap points. They're the speeds where you start bringing the flaps back up as the plane's speeds. So you just about to hit flaps 1 setting, which means, well, I can already set it to flaps 2. Now I can set it to flaps 1. And then flaps up. Now they hit the flaps up speed. I can get flaps up. I'll set this back out to about 20 miles while I climb. But next thing I'll do is set the gear to off, so it's not using up hydraulics, trying to bring the gear up. Set that off. Not many aircraft that you actually have to do that in anymore, but there are a few. Engine bleeds, well I know they're on, we've checked them. The packs are auto, we've checked that. Landing gear is up and off, we've checked that. And the flaps are up. Other things that we'll have to do during the climb out, we'll have to set the landing lights at 10,000. We'll have to set the barrel at 10,000, and we can turn the seatbelt signs off when we want to. As you can see, have a look at the beautiful scenery that all that's Australia JV2 gives us. Climbing out of it. Beautiful. We're just about to get Cityscape Gold Coast as well. You know, massive FPS hog, but yeah, beautiful scenery. 8,000 feet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the chime, and that's pretty much me telling the cabin crew they can stand up. They're safe to get out of their seats. I'll hold the passengers in until we do these turns. Hit 9,000. If you are a real world pilot and you want to add something in the comments, feel free to do that, but this is just my understanding of it. I'll set the first officer's one a little bit higher. Might even set my one up. Hit 10,000, so we'll go landing lights off, and we'll go barrow to standard, because 10,000 is our transition altitude in Australia. It's 10,000 feet. We're going to hit our turns, and then we are going to hit, and then we'll turn and we'll go. It should be okay. 11,000 checked. And that's it, pretty much. Pretty much I will set the seatbelt signs off now. Well, I'll set it to auto actually. Better off setting it to auto, then you're not really getting any issues. And that's pretty much it. Then you just pilot monitoring everything as the plane speeds up and as it climbs to its cruise altitude. So that's pretty much it, and I will see you to do arrival preparations about 50 miles out from the top of the sand, maybe a little bit.